friends, welcome back to my channel. My name is Sherry. We are here today to make covers for our new 2 spring journals from Poppy Shop Printables, and it's the early spring 2024 spring flowers vintage. So I will link the Etsy share that would be the video prior to this. And in this video, we're going to get the covers made for the journals, and then we will move on from there. But I wanted to show you how I make my covers most of the time. Not always, but most of the time. So if you're new, welcome. And if you're returning, as always, welcome back. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up. Please consider subscribing if you haven't already, and ring that notification bell so that you do not miss another upload of either junk journal making, ephemera making, jelly printing, anything that has to do with fun paper crafts is kind of what we like to do around here in the studio and the craft room when we're not out in the garden. So, all right, if you want to see how I'm going to make my covers, stick around. All right, so I've already pre-cut. I've chosen this as the cover for one journal, and that's going to be the inside. And then this is the cover for another one, and this will be the inside. But I had a little snafu. I cut this wrong, so this should have been my basically 14.5. I cut it by 12. So luckily, I still had enough fabric that I could add the other 2.5 inches on and sew it and just make an extension. And that will be the back of the journal. So you really won't notice it that much. So let me show you the base of how I start. Put my fabric off to the side. I use these manila envelopes, manila envelopes. I always get file folders and manila envelopes confused. So these are I've already taken, I'll do one with you, but I've already taken those tabs out. So what I do is you just take, unless you can find the ones that don't have those, but they just pop out pretty easily. And then I just fold this over, glue them down. And that's why I have that big white piece of paper, because I like to put that down when I'm gluing, especially with Fabri-Tac and fabric, so that I don't get it all over my craft mat. So these are approximately 9 by 12. So when folded over, they make a perfect 6 by 9 journal. So let's go ahead and get these just glued down to begin with. I hope you are all well today. We are doing well here. Thankfully, I am feeling better. I've been fighting a cold for 2 weeks, and then last Wednesday night, I got hit with the stomach flu. So that was very unpleasant. And so tomorrow will be 7 days. And my appetite isn't 100% back to normal, but I am eating and feeling much better and not near as tired. That's one thing I do have to say. That stomach flu just, oh man, wiped me out. I'm not a day sleeper, but let me tell you what, I took a lot of naps. It really zapped me. I think some of that too is because I am on oral chemo, and probably being as how I had already had that cold for 2 weeks, my immune system isn't the best anyway. And then you add a cold on top of it, and then you double whammy it with a stomach flu. I think my body just said, I'm done, shut down. So that's why I haven't been able to get too many videos out, between the coughing and the stomach flu and the cold, you know. So I'm just going to double check. Yep. Make sure you're in frame there. All right, so those are our 4 bases. What's going to happen is these will be sewn together eventually. I usually use those as the insides. Let me put this out here. So I usually typically will put this is going to be the inside of the back and the inside of the front. Not that that really matters. That's just the way I do it. So I'm going to put one of these aside, and we're going to say this is going to be the front of one. I am going to put, now batting is what I usually use. I'm running very low, so when that happens, if you can't cut it exactly, you can always just sort of piece it together, and that's what I'm going to do right here. It doesn't have to cover perfectly. I only put it on the front cover, and it just gives it a little extra cushion. And so for this little section down here, this may be just enough. Yep, that'll work. It's good enough. Close enough, good enough, and it'll work. So piecing it together is just fine if that's what you have to do. What I'm going to use for this is a little bit of Fabri-Tac. I just sort of put it in the middle. I'll be stitching around the edges, so I don't want to get too much or any Fabri-Tac there. But this just helps to hold the batting in place while it just tacks it down basically. Okay. Very simple. I find these manila envelopes just real easy. It's sort of how I started. I basically started my junk journaling journey watching Gail Augustinelli years ago. And this was how she did it. Now, she does have many other journal cover ideas and videos, and I have done quite a few of those, but this is just kind of always my go-to, most common cover. Okay, so we can let that just dry there, and I'll grab, let's do this one first, and it is directional. As I said, these are spring journals. We're doing 2 at a time. This is directional because we've got butterflies, we've got a little bit of echinacea there. So that's going to be our top cover. So what's going to happen now is we're going to, oops, stuck to that a little bit. There may be some to trim off on the edge, there may be not. It just kind of depends. So what I like to do is I like to take and, let's see. So what we're going to have essentially is it'll be like this, and we will be mitering the corners. Keep sticking just a little. Yep. Okay. That's going to keep happening. So, all right. So what we do now is just take a little bit, make sure we're in our correct direction for which way we want to go. And I'm just going to take and put, again, it's mainly just to tack it down because we will sew it. I don't like to put it too heavy because I don't want globs of Fabri-Tac to show. And it's a little bit harder on the batting to spread it out with a card like you can on a piece of paper. But even if a little bit of Fabri-Tac shows through, in the end it always ends up getting covered up. So don't worry about it. I mean, you could lay this on top, you could do it this way. I just tend to sort of keep it simple for myself. Eyeball it. There'll be plenty on either side. So that is our front cover. Okay, we'll let that just sit aside and dry for a second. We'll do our inside cover, which is going to be this. And this is a bit thinner. So what I'm going to do with this is take it and I'm going to put the Fabri-Tac on. And I am going to spread it out with a card. You'll still see some of it, but don't worry. You're going to have pockets. You're going to have pages. You're going to have ephemera. You're going to have a lot of stuff on here that, especially the inside, you're not going to really see it all that well. And then just, oh yeah, did it the wrong way. Trying to build up an edge there. Lay my fabric down, and then I'm going to come in. The only reason I didn't do it this way with the other one was I didn't want my batting to fall off. Okay, so that is, I might have done it upside down on this. Should have done this on the outside, but it's not going to matter. It's not going to matter at all. Because what's going to happen is these 4 pieces are going to get mitered, folded over, and then sandwiched and sewed together. Okay, so there's that one. See, you can't see too much Fabri-Tac through there, so that's fine. Not worried about that at all. Okay, so there's front and back of that one. Let's grab our other manila envelopes here. So that'll be the inside. So that's the way I intended it to do it. And again, we can come in and patch in our this one might almost be, yeah. You know, it's funny, I forget that I need batting until I go to make a journal. And then I think, oh, shoot, I need padding. But my mother-in-law was talking, she makes really pretty stuffed bunnies and bears, and she needs some stuffing. She's got all her bunnies and bears sewn together. She just needs some stuffing for them, and we talked about a Walmart trip. Our nearest Walmart is about, I guess that's not going to matter either way, is about 2 hours from us. So that would be a good time for me to remember to get batting. Okay, it doesn't have to be perfect, just has to be on there. Okay, so again, Fabri-Tac, just to tack it down, staying away from the edges that will be sewn. Sounds like somebody's horn is honking outside. Well, I hope it's full-blown spring where you guys live, because I'd have to say I feel like it's full-blown spring where we live. The birds are singing, the honeybirds. Oh, it's wonderful. They're going crazy. Okay, so let's get our Fabri-Tac on here. Again, more so to tack it down. These are going to be fun journals to do. If you watch the Etsy share, it's a big kit. That's why I'm making 2. Because it was really, I mean, you could have done like a multi-signature, one big one, but why not just make a couple, you know, smaller ones. Okay, so that's going to be the back. So basically just make sure we're oriented correctly and centered as well as we can get it. Our top cover has the padding. I hope I did that right. You know, that's going to end up being on the front. No, that'll end up being on the back. That's fine. That's perfect. Yep, by the time it's folded, that'll be on the back. And then we can put the other on here. We want it this way and then to fold it. Nope, I want it this way. Okay. Yeah, it's definitely a horn looking out there. Now my dogs are going to bark and howl. Because why not? We're doing a video. Why not? Oh, you guys, I have to tell you, I don't know if any, I know I've mentioned it in a couple, if not more, of my previous videos, but I have a big ash tree that's right outside my craft room here to the west. And we had a red-tailed hawk mommy in there, had taken over a previous nest. And we figured she had babies in there. I mean, it's pretty obvious she had babies, but we hadn't seen them. And the other day, we noticed that 2 babies fell out and were dead. We were so sad because we were looking so forward to seeing her babies and hopefully seeing them fly. And I haven't seen her back. I mean, the nest is still there, but the tree's fully leafed out now and you can't see the nest as well as you could before. Haven't seen her coming and going. Doesn't mean she hasn't been. But what happened was I think we were having really strong winds that day, like 50, 60 mile an hour winds. And I think, I don't know, I'm guessing that maybe just the wind caused the nest to shift, because my husband also found, excuse me, I need a drink of my tea. My husband also found, and the 2, I mean, they were about this big, I guess. So they were, I mean, they were pretty good sized babies, but he also found nearby, which I didn't see, like a partially, excuse me, eaten mouse. Like that was probably, you know, mom brought it to the nest for them to eat. So, yeah, sad, very sad, made me sad. Okay, so what we're going to do here is we're going to miter our corners. We will probably put corners on these, the Tim Holtz corners. Pretty sure I have some, but I'm still going to try to do a nice, neat mitered corner. So what you're going to want to do for that is just sort of come in, but leave a little bit of a gap, like so. And you can save these little pieces because you never know. You might use those for something. If you don't go all the way to your envelope, you've got a little bit of leeway there. And hopefully it covers it up better. I have made... one thing to mention, I made covers similar to this, but with, like, you know, the Amazon bubble wrap. But I found out the hard way, I cannot double it like I can. I mean, I guess I could if I just wanted to glue it together, but when you double the bubble wrap envelopes, you can't get them through your sewing machine. So there's that. All I'm going to do is tuck in these edges. We'll glue those down. we went for a side-by-side ride. I don't know if you're familiar with what side-by-sides are, but they're kind of like a motorcycle, I guess, if you would, or a three-wheeler, but they have four wheels. And ours is a two-seater. So we have some friends in the neighborhood that have them as well, which is really a lot of fun. And sometimes I'll do videos on our excursions. If you'd like to see some of those, let me know in the comment section below, because we really do live in a beautiful area. And so we did a ride yesterday. My husband got off work early, and my friend's husband was off, and she got off early enough that we could go for a ride up into the mountains. And we saw 3 does, and what did we see? Some chukar and some quail. It's so pretty. Last year, we got so much rain here in California, the prior winter to this winter. And we thought that the wildlife, like the deer and the birds and everything, were just going to be so prolific. Funny thing was, they were almost non-existent. I don't know why. The only thing we could think of was that because we had so much moisture, snow in the mountains, that maybe there was just ample food up high for them and they didn't need to come down into lower elevation. But we've already seen more deer and birds, upland game birds, than we saw probably most of last season, summer. Because we ride all year long, but you typically see more of the deer and all that in the spring and summer. So yeah, it's really, really pretty. I love to see the wildlife. See how nicely those corners mitered? Just leaving that little bit of extra, just not cutting quite all the way to the edge. Then you get sort of a really nice, and look there, I still got, even with that big piece of paper, I still got Fabri-Tac on my craft mat. I'm trying to make this craft mat last as long as I can before I have to replace it. But once they get too icky, then they just aren't as good. So okay, that's nice. Now let's do the inside of that one. So yeah, so if you ever do a bubble wrap, Amazon bubble wrap cover, just keep in mind it's got to be a single. You can cover it inside and out, but it has to, if you want to sew around it, it's got to be single. You cannot double it up like this. I didn't even try. I realized right away, and I thought, okay, I'll pull it apart, and then I ended up just making it with a single envelope. I've got another, once I get done with these two, I do have another fun, probably more than one, journal in waiting to be made, that I think any of you journalers journal makers, or even just, even if you're not a journal maker, but you like to use journals, you might like that as well. So let's clean off that here. Oops. Yeah, it's a really cute junk journal kit, and it's a junk journal kit about a junk journal. So I don't know if that makes sense, but anyway, got that to do. And Fabri-Tac is being stringy today. Stringy, stringy, stringy. And FYI, if you don't know, you probably do. You probably don't need me to tell you, but if you are one that wears nail polish, and I sometimes do, not always. I've been a little bit away from it lately because of doing yard work and things like that, but Fabri-Tac, this glue, is acetone based. So if in fact you do wear fingernail polish, this will eat your fingernail polish and any kind of nail enhancement that you have on. It will eat it up, guaranteed. So if you know you're going to be doing something like this in a mass make or a lot of Fabri-Tac work, maybe hold off on doing your nails till afterwards. This is such pretty material. I did something else with it, but I can't remember what I did. Because it was just sort of a remnant that I had. And then when I cut it wrong, oh shoot. But then I realized, you know what, just stitch on the extra 2.5 inches that you need and be fine. It'll be just fine. Yeah, turned out good. Maybe a little bit to snip off there, but that's okay. Gotta remember to turn my iron off. Ah, come on. There we go. Yeah, a little overfold there, but that's okay. We'll do both of these, and I will take it to the sewing machine and come back and show you what they look like, and that'll be it for this video. And then in the meantime, off camera, I'll get the ephemera cut and ready, and we'll start putting the journals together. Yeah, that's fine. Sticky fingers, it's always nice to have a... And if your corners end up like, you know, with a little bit like that, don't worry about it. You can either just snip it off if it bugs you, or you can cover it up with corners, journal cover corner things. See, that's going to be just fine by the time you fold it around. I wanted this birdhouse on the front, but the way the material, I couldn't make it. I mean, I guess I could have if I'd have been really fussy, but I thought it was going to be pretty either way. Okay, so we have our front and our back that can be sewn together like so. That will be our outside cover. That will be our inside cover. Okay, let's do these two. I'll sew them, and then that will be it for today. Just so you get a little look-see of, I think I'm going to cut this down a little bit. I'm not even sure where I got this material. Don't remember offhand. One of my best friends, her mom recently passed away. And actually, we worked together. Her mom owned the beauty supply that we worked in. I did hair, and my girlfriend, her daughter, did nails. And we worked together for probably 30 years. Known each other for 30 years. Worked together pretty much that whole time. And anyway, her mom was a beautiful seamstress. And I had asked my girlfriend, I said, because we were talking and she was telling me they were going to do an estate sale. I said, is there any way you could check with your family and see if before they do the estate sale, is there any way that I could come look through your mom's fabric and sewing room? Because she had a really nice sewing room, and I'm not really even sure what all's in there or what the girls are going to want to keep, the granddaughters, if, you know. But I said, could you please ask them if I could come over prior to an estate sale and pick out some fabric? And she said she would definitely let me do that. So I'm excited about that. I haven't talked to her much. She's kind of been fighting this cold junk stuff that's going around, and I was, and we were supposed to get together today for lunch. She was going to come down and we like to get together and have lunch together, but she just wasn't feeling too great. And since I'd been sick, we decided to postpone it for another week at least. And then we'll see, hopefully, if we're both feeling better, maybe we can either have a lunch date at my house or meet up for lunch, because we've got a couple other girlfriends in the neighborhood that like to, we like to get together and, you know, do girls' lunches. We haven't for a while, but we like to do that, the girls' day. So we'll see. Hopefully everybody will get to feeling back to normal soon and we can plan a lunch date. But anyway, I'm pretty excited about seeing her fabric. She always had nice fabric. She made the most beautiful aprons. I'd love to know her pattern. I don't know if the family would give it up. I mean, I'd never make them to sell, but I'd certainly try to make one for myself or my family. I do have a few of her aprons from over the years, but yeah, so I'm kind of excited to see what I was telling my husband. I don't know if she even had one, but I'd love to get a serger. And I'm sure her sewing machine was top notch, so I don't know. I have no doubt she had a much nicer sewing machine than I do. No doubt about that. Okay, that one looks good, albeit upside down. There we go. Okay, look at these grumbly fingers. Grumpy fingers from the Fabri-Tac. Okay, let's let you dry. Okay, and we'll glue this on, and then we'll have our two covers. You can see how easily they come together. You could also mass make a bunch of these. Like, I have some fabric that I haven't even used. One of them happens to be coffee material from when I was making masks. I bought a lot of material at that time. So I thought it'd be kind of fun to do like a coffee journal. I mean, all kinds of themes. Who, you know how much materials out there, and it's endless. But anyway, yeah, you could mass make these and just get a bunch of journals made, journal covers, and that way whenever a journal project comes along, you've got various, maybe spring, summer, fall, holiday journal covers made up ahead of time and ready to go. And there's always going to be a digital kit for a cover. I'm sure. You can always find one. Always, always. Looks like our wind is coming up a little bit outside. Okay. Now let's just get these tacked down. I don't always put the Tim Holtz corners on, but I find I'm doing it more than not. Unless I want it like real rustic looking or something, grungy maybe. These will probably more than likely have covers on them, but we'll see. Or round corners, not covers. They'll definitely have covers because they do have covers. We're making covers. Hopefully I've not been out of frame this whole time. That would be nice, wouldn't it? The security system. Let's see, what time is it? Could be the first school bus. In fact, it more than likely is. Yeah, I had my youngest Cove today. He'll be 3 on New Year's Eve, and he is, what a character. He's so funny. He was pretty quiet today, though. All he really did most of the time, I mean, I gave him snacks and put up his little play table, and he had his snacks, and we played inside, and outside, and then he'd come inside and he'd get my phone and just curl up on the couch and watch my phone, and then we'd go back outside, and it's just so cute. Cutest little guy. My oldest grandson, Gavin, if you've been around, you've heard me talk about him. He'll be 12 in May, the end of May. That's hard to believe. Little stinker. He was the only one that I was in the room with when they were born. I was at the hospital with all of them, but Gavin, my oldest, is the only one I actually got to see come into the world. His big old blue eyes. Still to this day, I'll tell him, don't you look at me with those blue eyes. Try to get your way. You know. Of course, bat the blue eyes at me because he knows that's all he's got to do. Sticking to everything. Okay. That's looking pretty good, guys. I'm pretty happy with all that. Let me put the lid on my Fabri-Tac. I'm going to go to the sewing machine and I'll come back and I will show you how our covers look at this point. And then the next video, we will get our journals started. All right, I'm back and I have sewed around both of my covers. So they are ready to go. Basically, all we're going to have to do is get them folded, get them creased and ready. And it actually ended up that that patched piece on this fabric ended up on the front, but I'm going to use that to my advantage, so I'm not that worried about that. So there's that. Now, I should have 2 points. If you wanted to sew in, say, a tie that is already sewn in, I would do that before you put on your inside cover. You would glue your tie in before you put the fabric on here. That way you would have tie underneath here. I wasn't worried about that. And another thing I forgot to mention is prior to putting the two envelopes, the two halves of the envelopes together to sew, I do put some Fabri-Tac in there, just on the inside, not around the edges, just to kind of get the two envelopes to stay a little bit more together when I'm sewing them. So that's just a thing I forgot to mention. But anyway, these are our two covers now made for our two spring journals. And I think they came out really cute. All right, you guys, thanks for watching. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Again, don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell so that you don't miss another next installment of the Spring Journal extravaganza. So, all right, you guys, I am going to go have some iced tea and sit outside and enjoy this beautiful weather. Thanks for watching. Take good care. Be kind to one another, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.